What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of BurlyFishing. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a really cool up-and-coming plastics company, and that is Rabid Baits. You guys need to go check this out. I'm going to tell you why in this video, as well as drop you guys a couple techniques that have been working really well for myself and my buddy Paul, co-host of the BurlyFishing podcast. Go subscribe, so stay tuned for that. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, be sure to subscribe, smash that like button, ring that notification bell so you can see when we post more videos. All right, you guys, so let's talk about these baits for a second. First of all, if you want to hear more about the company and the guys that work within it, it's a very small team, very cool group of people. Go check out our episode with Rabid Baits on the BurlyFishing podcast. You can find that podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on every single network. And you can also see the video version of that on YouTube if you want to see their pretty faces and, you know, maybe mine and Paul's too. So go check that out. You can learn a lot more about them. But here's what I want to do today. I want to open up some of these baits, show you guys the amazing action they have, why I think they're fantastic finesse plastic, and check out the unique style of these baits in comparison to some of the plastics that you already use. Then we're going to go on the water with myself and Paul. We'll show you some of the ways that we like to rig them for success and how to fish them. We're going to talk about that too, because I will say this, if there's any negative that has been drawn against these plastics so far, it's the durability. But I'm going to show you guys why that's actually a non-issue and you guys can be extremely successful with these baits. Let's check it out. So first one I'm going to hit you guys with is the Rabid Baits Shaker Worm. This color right here, I already told you guys in a previous video when I unboxed this for Monster Bass, I call this the beaker, but this color actually is like this dirty brown with some orange fleck in there, and then this orange hair on top. So this is the thing that makes these baits so unique, is that they actually draw from, you know, sort of a river fishing, Carolina fishing, or fly fishing background, and they combine sort of like hair jigs, if you guys have ever seen or used those, with like traditionally presented flies. They're using like this natural hair, which looks, by the way, fantastic in the water. I mean, just look at the action on this thing. I'm not even moving, and this thing is just going like crazy. So as you can see with a bait like this, you've got a worm style presentation, which means you can do freaking anything with it. So you can actually, I've got this one Nico rigged, right? So you can Nico rig it. You could throw even like one of those, you know, those bands that you can put around worms for wacky rigging or for Nico rigging that generally help you keep the worm a little bit longer after a few bites. You can throw that around there too, or you can just straight hook it in there. Got a little Nico nail weight on the one end, and then you can see when this is in the water, weight's gonna go down this side of this tail here, and this is in an awesome watermelon color with this bright blood red tail here. That's gonna do all the dancing, you know, give you all that action, great presentation. Fish are gonna come nom that. Of course, you could also wacky rig that, Texas rig it, throw it on Carolina rig, do anything you do with your standard worms, or I've had success with actually cutting this thing like right here and then Ned rigging the tip. So this is gonna be on a Ned rig mushroom style jig, and this is gonna give you all sorts of awesome action when it's standing up on the bottom, right? So you can do all sorts of stuff with that. An important thing to note here though about the durability and why I don't think that's actually an issue is that these are finesse plastics. So say it with me now, finesse, gentle, be gentle with them. With these baits, we're kind of sacrificing some of that traditional durability that bass fishermen are looking for action, but action can be so crucial when it comes to getting a bite or getting a bass to strike, especially when conditions are tough, which is generally when we are throwing these things. So when we had Bobby and Josh on for the podcast, they explained it to us a little bit better and really made this click for us. You let the bait do the work, right? So this is kind of like the traditional style of like Ned rigging, which I love a lot. It's dead stick. You just put it out there and let it do its thing. That's it. Leave it alone, let it work, bass will come strike it. So again, it's a bait that I would really throw on like tougher days. If it's a day where bass are extremely active and I'm really starting to like work the bait, even like with a wacky rig, I'm just like popping it back to the boat pretty quick, maybe throwing it on like a 1/4 ounce tungsten wacky jig. I'm probably not gonna use this. If I'm going like, I don't know, weightless, 1/8 ounce, something super light, and I'm just gonna let that thing fall for 10 years right in front of a grass line, I'm gonna throw the Rabid Baits, right? If I'm dead sticking a Ned and I don't have to do anything, I'm gonna throw the Rabid Baits. If I'm popping the Ned and working it back to the boat, I'm gonna use a Z-Man plastic because it's going to last a little bit longer. Different conditions, different techniques, different styles of fishing. Keep that in mind when you're fishing these things. I don't think that should deter you guys from picking these plastics up though. I think they're phenomenal because they definitely trigger those bites. Let me show you another one that they have. This one's my favorite, by the way. Got two others I'll show you guys, but this one's my favorite. So this is the Rabid Craw. This came in a Monster Bass box. The Shaker Worm actually came in a Monster Bass box. I can't remember what Bobby said. It was like either January or December or something like that. It was a while back. That orange one came, which is why I have tons and tons of them. This Craw came just a couple months ago. Gosh, it would have been April or May. So again, you got the hair coming up now on the claws, which have this wicked action right there. It looks phenomenal. You've got the fatter end for rigging. You've actually got your hook spot right down here, so it's easy to rig this thing. You got a little bit of a guide for yourself as well. And you've even got these little dangly things coming off the end. So it's got action up the wazoo. It's super flexible. These are also very buoyant. They tend to float. So this would be great to even drop shot. I love Ned rigging it, but it's also something that you can definitely drop shot and have a lot of success with as well. This color, by the way, is Monster Bass Red, which is pretty slick. Last one I've got for you guys, which is by no means the last bait that they offer. They actually have more than this. They have a goby style bait, and they're working on a top secret bait that I can't tell you guys about, but you should stay tuned. When they drop it, it's going to be ridiculous, and you'll probably see me fishing it a lot in the future. So last one I got for you guys is called the Darter. So this one actually, this is an unused one here that I totally stole from Paul. He had a lot of extras. But this one actually has hair coming off the top, as you can see there, and coming out the sides, much like fins, right? So it looks like a little tiny bait fish. This is in the ghost color, and then this one, I think it's called Mud Puppy or something like that. But that one is in this brown with a little bit of gold fleck and black specks in there. This color right here, this ghost, is like straight up my favorite. I've caught a ton of fish on this actually. I might even throw a few of those catches in right now. Yeah, buddy. There we go.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job. Brody, he caught a bass.
He's mad. He's mad. There we go. There we go. Hey, buddy. Yep. On again. There we go. There we go. There we go. Here, bud. There we go. That, my friends. Round 2 on the Darter. The Darter is...
Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's making it look so easy. Because he's good at it. Suck at it.
Later, buddy. Drop shotting in that one. I think it worked really well. Again, just let it sit and this bait just did all the work. Plus, look at this fat tail that it's got on there. So that's moving a lot in the water, and it's ribbed down the side, so it's moving side to side as well. Just juicy, just juicy. And they really like that tail too. This one got bit off on a drop shot. Little swing and a miss, you know? Awesome, so now I'm gonna swing out to Paul and I on the water. We're gonna talk to you guys about the main ways that we love to rig these things so you can get an idea of some of the techniques that we're using and how we tie it on. Check it out. All right, guys, another pretty awesome tactic I want you guys to try and use with these Rabid baits would be to wacky rig them. Now, these are really buoyant. Nice thing, and you know, unfortunate thing if you're trying to go weightless, for example, is that these baits are really buoyant. So with a wacky rig, I really like to throw it on, this is a tungsten. So what's gonna happen is this plops in the water, your bait, this thing being so, you know, finessey, so much action on this thing, is gonna go like this, like a little U, right? Sink to the bottom. You're gonna pop the rod up. So it's gonna go the reverse direction, and you're gonna let it fall, and it's gonna just be moving back and forth like that. Fish freaking love that, especially in the summer around docks. We were getting a lot of hits on this today, on this exact rig. So it works, and you guys should definitely try it.
One thing though is, you know, I know we've had these for like a month and a half or so that I've been fishing these, like a couple of different kinds of these.
Yep.
Like the darter, the craw, the shaky, all those different ones.
The Craw we've had for a while.
Yeah, the Rabid Baits versions. The Craw, you got in your mystery, or not your mystery, that's the one you didn't get it in. You got it in the Monster Bass box. But a lot of people who don't finesse fish a lot, like these plastics are meant to have a ton of action. The fur is giving them like super duper action, but like those are tiny little arms, right? And like it's a smaller profile bait, just in general. This is not something that you rip through cover, like rip through cover. This is not something you put a big old heavy gauge hook. The lighter gauge is gonna do, that's honestly one of my biggest tips is using a lighter gauge 1/0 EWG. That honestly is like a difference maker. So if you're like, right now we got a bunch of rocks, small rocks with like random weed cover. I want to fish this finesse. You could do a Ned with like a weedless hook, which is a great option. Something just like this, right? Easy, super easy. And by the way, this is one tip that I picked up. If you overload, if you like, when normally you try and have your plastic be perfectly parallel,
Yeah.
with that craw, you want the arms up. So what I do is I put the hook point in a little bit further than it's supposed to, and see how it kind of rides up naturally. So even with a weedless hook, which is great, a little bit to get that defensive presentation, poke the hook in like just a little bit further back, and you get a nice
Hot tip.
nice presentation. That's one thing. But with this drop shot, an alternative to a standard like open hook, that is gonna, I mean, it's for sure gonna get caught on stuff. So if you want something that's weedless, you got your wide gap hook, 1/0, lighter gauge, not your standard like, you know, rip it through a forest type deal. I'm gonna rig it up the exact same way that I do my standard. I'm gonna tie it on the same way that I do a standard drop shot. So tie my Palomar. Simple knot. Probably, it really depends on where you're at. This one is going to be about a foot off the bottom. So there's that. And then remember, you want the hook facing up when you tie your knot. Now you see how that's kind of sideways? The hook is not pointing straight up. I think we talked about this with the other version. What you do is you take the end of your line, you put it back through the top. Now, that bad boy
Boom.
wants to stick up,
Nice.
right? And you're gonna get a floating bait. Bang! That's gonna keep.
Especially with these. Like,
Yep, that's
the
gonna-
rabbits are extra floaty.
That's gonna keep your presentation spot on. And then with this EWG hook instead of the standard circle hook, the hook point's further back in the bait. So if you're starting to get short struck, try short striking that. That's gonna fix a ton of your problems. The other thing is weedless.
Weedless.
Voila! Now it's not weed free.
Weedless.
It's weedless. You feel me?
Am I right?
You feel me? So you just rig that up per usual. I'm telling you, that is gonna make the difference. That is gonna make the difference. Super simple, but man, I mean, some of those little, it is finesse. And those little presentations those little presentation tweaks can make all the difference.
That's the key with these two guys. Like, just, I'm sure Paul said it 1,000 times. Be gentle with finesse. You're not yanking the rod around, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, trying to create the action. Like, the bait will do the action for you. That's what's nice about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is probably one of the things that, if you're not used to fishing finesse, can be a little tricky to get a hold of. Understanding is that, you know, the action of the bait is all built in. Like this rig, especially if you're using that tungsten, this is that Woo tungsten 1/4 ounce. I mean, this thing, you get a tight line on this, one, you're not missing a bite for sure, but all the action is just built into it. That thing waving, that fur is flaring the whole time. The way you want to work one of these, like I said, this is like, we're up on the shore, not gravel, but like in between gravel and rocks, like two to 4 inch rocks. And this little tiny weight is gonna slip nice right around there. And you're gonna be able to get it unhooked real easy. It's gonna drop fast. It's gonna be a little bit louder than lead and give you real good feel all the way through. And then this little craw, you can run this 2 different ways. You can run it up in the air, but what I like to do, especially with that EWG, I like to get my rod tip down. I like to draw it in short, relatively quick hops. Dude, man, the thing is once you got a tight line, it's sitting like 3 inches off the bottom. It's freaking awesome, which is like right where you want it to be. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what you're trying to do, just measure your depth out, get your hook so it's, you know, above whatever cover you're trying to fish, whether it's weeds, rocks, or otherwise. Try and get the smallest profile weight that you can, so that you're slipping through that cover. And if you know there's some weeds, but you still feel like the drop shot's the presentation for you, try that 1/0 smaller gauge hook, EWG, weightless or weedless. And man, you got an opportunity to crush.
You're gonna kill it. Back to you, Jeff, in your office probably, because that's where the video is gonna start and finish.
All right, you guys, so that does it right there. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. I want to kind of open your eyes to the world of Rabid Baits. This is a small company, you know, just growing from a tiny, tiny team of 4, man. And these guys are hustling. They're putting in work. I can definitely appreciate that from a business owner standpoint. I think it's awesome. I love what they're doing. Love to see you guys support them as well. Just again, make sure you're using this as a finesse plastic. It's a gentle technique. Let the bait do the work for you. It's not a heavy, heavy action type thing. So go check them out. You guys can go to rabidbaits.com, place an order, and go follow them on Facebook. And I think Josh said they're going to start doing some YouTube videos. But they got a ton of sweet videos with action in a fish tank with like an aerator and gravel and all sorts of good looking stuff. So you can get an idea of how crazy the action is on these baits if you check out those videos on their website. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like, ring that notification bell, and we will see you guys out on the water.